Next up we have Noel Perkins from the Metropolitan Planning Commission.
Emergency services, some of the most important things is the completely inventory of all addresses, being able to quickly identify the location and get services to them, and the city of Savannah has 311 for non-emergency services. And here's just a boring screenshot what Chris was alluding that he's not going to do of some of the emergency services. I mean, ideally, the location comes up with the address, and then it takes to the best route to get the vehicles, the emergency services there. City 311, it is right now in a little bit of a redesign. They're working on improving it, so we don't have a lot of screenshots of the mapping part. But the idea is you go in and you can online enter your information, what it is, and they dispatch the necessary services to that address to resolve the non-emergency. And we're talking sewer drains, trash, and other issues like that come up with 311. Criminal justice, and I'm sorry, I am a fast talker. I've got just a couple minutes, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. Criminal justice show types of crimes occurring in the area, and then the Chatham County Sheriff just rolled out their sex offender site, which is, it's two parts to the sex offender site. There's one part that the public doesn't see, and that's when the sex offender goes in to register. They are actually sitting down with the deputy, and he's putting in the information, and the first thing that they put in is the address of the sex offender who's registering. There's certain things that sex offenders can't live around, schools, bus stops, and things like that, and then immediately tells them whether the address that is provided is a valid address. One, is it a valid address to make sure they're not giving a false address, but two, a valid address in the sense that it's not in any conflict with any of the identified areas that sex offenders cannot live. And this here is the site of some of the crime stuff that Chris alluded to a little bit. Crime mapping, the Savannah Chatham Metropolitan Police Department has this site. You can go in, put in by zip code or address, a search radius, and then locate all the crimes that have occurred in your area. All the way, it's updated twice a day. So current for today, all the way back to 28 days, you can see the level of crime that's going on within your search radius, and it's 1 to 5 miles on that search radius. This is the sex offender site. Now this is the public side. This is if you go to the sex offender site, you're going to see, you can look by zip code, you can return them all, or if you know of anyone specifically that you're looking for, you can enter their first and last name and then go ahead and get that showed up into a map, and I'll show that here briefly. There's also a section that's all hit up on the email, zip code, any new sex offender that registers into your area by zip code, then you get an email and says, hey, you have a new sex offender registered in your zip code. There's just a quick map. It's really a sad picture in the end, I mean, because that's every sex offender in Chatham County. So, yeah. Development, it's used for infrastructure planning. Tracking changes to the lifestyle of the project from start to finish, from the time someone comes in and applies for a building permit to the time when that final inspection is done. And then we also have a little section that's used for eliminating duplicate street names or similar sounding street names. That's a twofold thing that gets into development and that goes back to emergency services. Captain Futrell's here from the Southside Fire Department. Chief Futrell's here from the Southside Fire Department. I don't want to take anything away from him, but similar sounding streets in different parts cost lives in the end. I mean, plain and simple, and that's what we're trying to resolve. On the development side, most things in Chatham County start with an address and or a PIN number. And a lot of that's originated. Some starts here, some starts over in building inspections. So they come in, and you can see you put in here, you can put in when they come in and do their application, they put in their address, it does the search, ties the PIN in, and that ties it in all the other data that's available. As well, there's a little site called sages.org. Just a few people in Chatham County use it. That's a little joke for those of us from Chatham County. But once again, they can do an address search and a PIN search there as well too, and return all the information, maps, and things like that that can help them get started in that process. That takes us to step 2. Now, let me clarify that this application right here is only in use in unincorporated Chatham County. The city of Savannah has something, they're working on something similar as well, but right now all our geographic support is for unincorporated Chatham County. And as you can see, there's about 1 billion tabs there that have all different things. It all starts with that PIN or that address, and you go through the permitting process, the inspection process, and I mean, this sends flurries of emails to all the right people and things like that, and keeps everybody on track. So when you come in and you apply for your information, it's going to select the parcel that you give them, the PIN number that you gave them. Obviously, being in a little low area, flooding's an issue here as well too. So we have the flood zones on there, and obviously municipalities, because unincorporated Chatham County cannot permit in other municipalities, so they want to make sure that the address you're applying for actually is within their jurisdiction. And that, in the end, is to help speed up that process for you as well too. Street name. Now, you start typing in a street name, and this is just there's 5 pages of streets that have pine in them in Chatham County. So, ideally, Chief, you'd probably want to see 1, right? Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. But right now, when people go to the municipalities and they want to put in a new subdivision, build a new road or everything, the municipalities can go right to this site and type in the street name and say, okay, Pine's already taken, or Pine Ridge, or they can go through the whole list and say that's taken or that's too similar sounding. And then they can make any adjustments based on the municipality. We do not, it's still up to the municipality if they want to allow the name or not. But this is just a tool to aid them in that process. Historic preservation. I think everybody knows Savannah is a little bit of an older city as well too. We have 3 big historic things. We have the National Historic District, our local historic district, and then our historic height. These are all on an internal browser for historic preservation people to make sure anything that's applied to is within these areas. There's different building requirements. There's different restrictions building in any of the historic districts, and especially with the historic heights, making sure that we preserve the vertical landscape of the city as well too. So this gives all the people different ways to help make sure that everything goes smoothly for all those that apply. Some of our internal stuff, all the stuff that Chris kept telling me he wasn't going to show because it's boring. But this is just the sugar refinery, and what you're seeing there on the left on that image on that IMS site is what that looked like after the fire. And I will this is our new aerial photography on the left that was flown by Earth Data. And it was flown actually right after the fire. You can't really see it here on this very well. There's still smoke coming out of the sugar refinery from where it was burning. But on contrast, if you look over on the left, this is another software that's tied into the IMS site, and it has our oblique views of everything. And this is our pictometry information. And as you can see, that was flown post-disaster at the sugar refinery. Or pre-disaster at the sugar refinery, where you can see what the sugar refinery actually looked like. And actually you can zoom in and out, and we have a 360 view of everything, and then we have an ortho from that as well on that. One other thing, all this information is tied together. You can link in and you can look at the parcels, you can look at the property cards, and I'm out of time. I got to get this one in. GIS Day, because education is huge for us. GIS Day is November 19th. We have enacted a program at Duren Middle School to help educate the middle school children out there. We had 200 and some last year. This year we have 350. I'm out of time. Sorry. Thank you.